To build or not to build? I don't know. What is the best option for this beautiful, beautiful car? You think the best move is just take it to the machine shop and see what they say? Drop heads, cams, just bring them everything and just see what they say.
Someone that's knowledgeable on this motor.
On this motor, okay.
And just
because if we can save this block, I'd rather use this one, you know?
Yeah, and they'd be the ones to tell you.
Because that's what somebody messaged me and they said, okay, since you have grade 1 and 2 pistons in your build, so you order grade 3 pistons and then these get honed to grade 3.
Yeah, and that seems reasonable.
And that's what makes sense to me. So I'm like, we could do that with this and then get a new crank, all new bearings obviously, and then get the heads gone through and probably new cams since the cams are kind of scored. I don't know, it's such a hard decision. Do I buy the complete rotating assembly and just slap it in? Well, that's the thing. These blocks from Nissan are like $8,000 or $9,000, and I found a complete rotating assembly, so rods, pistons, crank already assembled, just OEM, for $6,500.
And that's got like 15,000 miles.
15K, yeah, and that would be good for 700-800 wheel, whatever I'm trying to run in this thing. For
to me, that seems like your best bet because
you think?
Because I'm sure this is salvageable.
And just sell this to somebody else that wants to build a motor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but would it be cheaper for me to do that on this one? I don't know.
Well, you tell me what the parts would cost you.
Well, I mean, I added everything to the carton for like oil pump, seals, everything to get this thing back together besides like the machine work, and I didn't factor in cams. It was going to be like $8,100 in parts.
Yeah.
But so if I get the
you still
short...
have to do the cams anyway.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I still, if I get a new short block, I still have to get... Well, I wouldn't have to get the crank, so that would minus, what, $2,300?
And
I still have to
oil
get all
pump is going to... You need on
oil,
either one.
Yeah, oil pump I'm going to have to do regardless.
Yeah, you'd probably want to...
It doesn't come with the pump. It's just this.
I gotcha.
It's literally the part I buy is just this part. Because
Yeah.
then the oil pump sits like right below the cradle or whatever. That's so tough. Because this is salvageable. So it's like, I feel like if I asked my YouTube people, they'd be like, yo, just build this block. But I really want something reliable too. And I'm like, OEM is usually the best way to go for reliability. So okay, so let's say $7,000 for the short block. I have to buy all new seals. So that's what, 800. Oil pumps 12.
So you've got to do that no matter what. So minus everything out.
Yeah.
So the motor you can get for $6,500
plus the shipping was like 5 something.
Okay.
And this is through like a Facebook group.
Okay. So you can get it like $7,000.
Yeah, $7K for complete rotating assembly.
Okay.
So then I don't have to buy. Because I was factoring in pistons and rods, which that's like $3,300.
I think just off the top of my head, I think you're way better off with the
short block.
Yeah, because you're into it for roughly $7,000, right?
Yeah.
And you just add up.
And then I can
the crank.
Yeah.
And what are we missing?
But I think it was like $3,200 for the good rods and pistons that I wanted.
And rings.
Yeah, and the pistons come with rings.
Bearings, rod bearings, main bearings.
Yeah, rod bearings, main bearings. That's like another $600 or $700, which I wouldn't have to buy on the.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh shit, I didn't
think about that. So you're at what, 4,000 ish, and a crank you said.
Crank is $2,300, so that's 60.
Well, you're already 63.
Yeah.
What are we missing?
But then I don't have a built motor, so it's like this I could build and it could be good for 1,000, or I just get the OEM one.
Well, so you haven't even factored in. You get to keep this.
Well, yeah, and then I could.
You can't resell that stuff, but you could possibly resell.
This I could for sure sell. I mean, this block is, I don't think it's ever been honed, and I could take it to a machine shop to verify. But I think this is a completely good used short block. So I could probably sell this for, what, 3 to 4? Well, I mean, if they're 8 or 9 new, or it's like 7 or 8 new.
It just seems
I mean,
like
this one's
getting that one for 7 complete.
I mean, that's like. Me
that's
hunting.
a deal.
Yeah, that's me like hunting for a deal.
Oh, I got you.
And because that was the initial option, is I was just going to get it and then swap it in. But I mean, I'm not going for crazy horsepower on this. You know, if I was going for 1,000, then it'd make sense to build it. But I'm only going for 600-700 wheel, or maybe a little more. But I mean, these stock block can hold that. No problem. Yeah, that might be the best option.
I mean, if you can, depending on how much money you can get out of this, that definitely seems like the cheaper option.
Yeah, because I wasn't even factoring in kind of offsetting the cost of the short block with all this shit.
And maybe you want to keep it for at least a while, because I can't imagine it's going to go down in value.
Yeah, not at all.
It'll probably go up in value as it becomes more and more rare.
I don't know if cranks are savable.
Yeah, that's a machine shop question.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if anybody would want to buy a used crank. I could confidently reassemble the motor. if I'm not having to worry about.
Well, you don't have to worry about this part of it.
Well, that is true. I mean, the rest is. I mean, I took it apart. So, pretty simple-ish. I feel like I could do it. Well, it's like I can. All of this is good. I mean, the heads are probably going to need to be gone through and possibly new cams. But
yeah, the heads you're going to have to ask a machine shop on that.
So I could drop those off for sure.
I'm quite confident there's nothing wrong with this block.
I mean, there's no holes in it, so
No. I mean,
no holes. So we're off to a good start.
yeah, I mean, usually it's cylinder scoring. So whether this needs to be changed to a grade 2 or grade 3, I mean, that can be done. I'm
Well, okay, but that I guess now it's more of just cost factor. It's like to get a built motor is going to be a lot more expensive than it would be to just get the used short block, because this will offset the cost of the short block.
Yeah,
and then I'm not paying for all the super expensive parts like the
get
crank,
yourself a
the
piece
rods.
of paper and write.
That's what I'm going to do tonight
or,
is just price everything out and just see,
because
I can't imagine the machine shop would be crazy expensive.
well, I mean, rather than run it down there, list everything out, all the pricing between your two options, and don't miss anything. You know, the rods and the mains.
Yeah.
And give them a call and just tell them, hey, you knowledgeable on this? Yeah, okay. So I need to have it whatever diamond honed or whatever the polishing is to get it up to a grade 2 or 3 piston. You know, how much will that cost? I mean, they'll be able to tell you over the phone probably.
That is true. Yeah, I'm going to give
you
them.
can call up and say, you know, how much you charge to hone a cylinder, but you have to make sure they know it's this motor and how, whatever the process is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that shop that Jax uses, I think, I'm 99% sure he's super knowledgeable on these things. And he's he builds motors for some people too, so I mean, he might even be like, yeah, I'll build it for you. I don't know.
Yeah, and you can even ask him, say, hey,
okay, would
you know, I'm trying to price this out, you know, I want to make sure that you can, you know, handle this type of, you're knowledgeable on this, and then just pick his brain. I mean, usually these shops probably won't talk to you too long on the phone because it's money to them.
Yeah. Yeah, but if I could just get a short answer, like, hey, are you knowledgeable on these motors?
You know.
Have you seen them come through your shop and be savable? Like,
well, you can already tell them. You know this one's savable.
Okay, that's
true. And then just find out how much they charge.
Not a bad idea.
And then you'll have to look at, you know, whatever they charge the hot tank it. Yeah, see, that's going to be a hard one over the phone because
they'd have to like see it and feel it.
See, I know that crank has to be turned.
Well, yeah, I know the crank.
I'm pretty sure those cams have to be replaced.
Yeah, which isn't the big. I could just get OEM cam. I probably wouldn't do upgraded cams. There's no point.
There's no point. Because you might be able to get by with just replacing the cam. I don't know. Because, I mean, worst that'll happen, I think, if you use those existing heads.
Just lack of oil pressure.
It could be a little bit lower.
I bet they got fucked up from the bearing material. That's what I'm guessing. I wonder if it ran through and then.
The filter should stop that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd do that. You know, get yourself a piece of paper and price out exactly.
I'm gonna price out everything tonight.
Because then you have something black and white to look at and determine. You know.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Because you'd have a motor, you know, and you got to factor in what this block is worth.
All right, boys, so you know in that last clip how I said I think I lost a main bearing? Well, I lied to you guys. I am an idiot, but as I was editing that, I took off the cradle and I didn't check the bottom of the cradle. So as I was editing, I ran upstairs, I went in the garage, I flipped the cradle over, and it ended up being in there. So we didn't actually lose a bearing. And you guys are probably gonna be like, dude, you're an idiot, how did you not know that? At the time, I think I was just like high strung and I didn't know what I was doing. Here's the cradle. So I flipped this thing over and it was sitting right there. All right, so here it is. This is the bearing I thought I was missing, and it was just big chillin' right there. So we have it. We have 8 of 8. And to be completely honest, I wanna do this the right way, but I wanna do it the most cost-effective way. So you guys probably saw in that last clip, I'm still trying to figure out what the best route to go, if I should use this block, or if I should find a used OEM rotating assembly that's already complete, that I don't have to build the bottom end, and then just throw it back together. Because I'm not going for a crazy amount of power, and these blocks, they'll hold 800 pretty reliably. And I trust you guys, and I know a lot of you have a lot more info and knowledge than I do. I'm just the guy with the camera that tries to pretend like he knows what he's doing. But if it was you guys, what would you do? Because this block is probably worth about $4 grand, maybe more. I don't know. I don't know if people want to buy a good used core. I'm assuming they do. So this thing's probably worth $4 to $5 grand. And I literally found a brand new OEM block for 8,500 bucks, and it has 600 miles on it. So it would be completely fresh, basically brand new. It's out of a 2021. And I could get it, I could rebuild the entire motor besides the bottom end, slap everything back together, throw some bigger turbos on, get it tuned, call it a day. Or should I go through the process and spend a little bit of extra money to get this thing built? Because obviously this block is completely fine. The cylinder walls are good. I just don't know. I'm so torn. I don't know what to do. I mean, the best route to me seems like to buy the OEM block, because then I can sell this thing off to kind of offset the cost of the new used short block. Or if I was to go with this, I mean, it's going to be about $300 in parts alone, not including turbos and not including machine work. I don't know. What's the best route? Because this thing's mint. I mean, it's pretty much perfect. So, I mean, maybe even one of you guys want this. And that's the thing. I keep saying I'm going to have a built GTR, and that's kind of been my thing. So I'm like, I feel like I need to follow through with building the motor, but also I don't think you guys would care. Like, I think just seeing me complete the project and getting the car back on the road with a brand new OEM short block, I mean, that seems like a pretty big W. And it's still making this thing absolutely perfect. Because at the end of the day, I want to know I can push the start button and this thing will turn on every single time and run flawlessly. That's all I want. That's all I want out of this thing. Just a fun ripper that scares the crap out of everybody that I take for a ride in it and that I enjoy. You guys will have to let me know what you want to see, what you think the best route is. Just get a new short block, because then the downtime will be less, so I can film more videos for you guys. Seems like a W. Seems like the move.
Rocky Mountain Machine.
Hey, quick question for you. One of my good friends told me you used to do the work for Jack's Transmissions on all their GTR motors.
Don't know if we did it all, but we've done some work for him.
Okay, are you familiar with the VR38?
Somewhat. Mostly what we were doing for Jack, we were balancing the rotating assemblies, and we bored a few blocks for him. Did a handful of heads, but we didn't do an extensive amount of stuff. But what are you needing?
Well, I have a bare block. My crank isn't good, and as far as I know on these cars, once the crank is scored, you can't really turn them or reuse them. So I know I need a new crank, but I was curious if you knew what I could do with the block to possibly get it built.
What do you mean by built?
Just like rods and pistons, but I know these have like a coating on the cylinder walls. So some people have said you can't bore them out, and then other people have told me you can. So I was just calling you to see if you had a better idea on these motors.
I think some of the piston guys have got some minimal oversized pistons for those things. Don't quote me on this, but they're like 3 or 5 thousandths or something like that. You know, there's enough coating there to be able to do that. But I'm going to do some research to make sure that that's the case. But
Okay.
a lot of the ones he brought us were sleeved blocks that had thick wall sleeves put in them instead.
Oh, so they were already sleeved.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, I'll do a little more research and then I'll give you a call back. Awesome, thanks so much. All right, bye-bye. Oh, fuck. Wait, so we have a bit of a dilemma. So I told you guys in the last clip that I was going to pay for a new short block, so it would have been crank, rods, pistons, and the block. And I had this really bad gut feeling that it just wasn't the right move. I was literally about to wire this guy $7,300 and something just didn't feel right. You know when you get that gut feeling and you're like, okay, I probably shouldn't do that. This just doesn't feel right. That's how I felt. I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with this block. This block is in good condition, but as far as I know, these have like a coating on the cylinder walls so you can't bore them out. And you guys just heard me. I was on the phone with a shop here that used to do some of the work for Jack's Transmissions. I don't think Jack's Transmission does motor builds anymore, but at the end of the phone call, he said most of the motors that he got brought were already sleeved. I have a few options. I can build this motor because the block, as far as I know, is completely fine. It's good. It's ready to go for rods and pistons, but I don't know. Do you sleeve it? Do you hone it out just slightly for bigger pistons? So to get this thing back on the road quicker, I was thinking, okay, let's just throw a short block in it, sell this block. So I was trying to find a short block. The guy hit me up. His story was kind of sketchy. He said the short block had 15,000 miles on it and that it was one of his customer cars. And he said that the timing tensioner had failed and then Nissan warrantied out that motor, but he kept the motor because they didn't contact him within 30 days. So it just seemed a little sketchy to me. And then all these companies out here, if you send them out to get your block built, you have to have a good core. So core meaning crank and block. Well, my crank is not good, so a built short block would be around 10 grand. So I don't know. There's so many variables to this that are just stressing me out. I don't know what to do. I don't know what the best route is. I want to get this thing back on the road, but I want to make sure it's done right. So I'm like, Do I do a built block? Do I contact one of these companies and try and send this out and pay for a new crank and get it built that way? What I'm starting to lean towards is trying to find a complete long block, slap a new turbo kit on there. We would get this thing back on the road, but finding a complete long block is really expensive and really hard, and I'm balling on a budget here. That's why I'm coming to you guys. I want to know what you guys think I should do. What's the best route? Because this block is in perfect condition. There's no issues, no scoring. It's stock bore, it's ready to go. And I've been telling you guys that I was gonna build the block, but now I'm like, I don't know. Do I find a short block? Do I find a long block? Do I get this one built? There's so many different variables. I know things are gonna work out because everything always ends up working out, but I'm in this weird position where I'm just stuck. I have a budget of about 10 grand. Like I wanna spend 10 grand or less on the motor. And then obviously I need money left over for all the accessories like turbos. I need a new carbon drive shaft. There's a few things I know I'm gonna need, and then the tuning software, so Ecutech. So maybe you guys can look out for me, look in your area, see if there's a long block or a short block. So it is about a week after you guys saw that last clip where I called the shop that builds motors for Jack's transmissions, and I've been doing a lot of thinking, I've been doing a lot of research, and I've been trying to find a motor the cheapest way possible to get this thing back on the road, reliable, and fast. And I'm pretty sure I finally found the answers. One of my good friends, he lives here in the Springs, and he has a GTR that makes about 1,000 wheel, and his GTR, same color as this one, thing is fast. It is probably one of the faster GTRs in Colorado, and he's wanting to build his motor. So he's wanting to go for, I think, 1,500 plus. And so he hit me up and he said, hey, what do you think about selling your short block and then trading me for mine? Now that is probably the cheapest option that I could go with. So he would disassemble his motor, he'd give me his full rotating assembly, and I would give him my bare block, which is sitting right over there. And then I would rebuild everything around that. I'd get a new oil pump, I'd get a new water pump, all new gaskets. So then we were thinking, him and I both hit up Tobes, and you guys might have heard of Tobes. He's in Denver and he's kind of a GTR guru. And he said, why don't you just sell Adam your complete motor? You take his heads, you take his block, and you get everything built. And I was like, that would be easier on me, be easier on him. I just have to do a timing job on that, probably a new oil pump, and then that motor should be good for the rest of the life of this car. But I think that'll be my cheapest option. So I think that's probably what I'm gonna go with for this thing. Obviously, I'll keep you guys updated. I know there's been a ton of different options. There was slight scoring on the cam, so that might mean that the heads aren't good, I guess. But that is kind of the current situation with the GTR. You guys can see there's just a graveyard of parts. We got pistons, oil pan, all the timing components. We got the heads in this box. We got the block sitting over here. We have all the timing covers, the turbos, which I still need to send out and either get rebuilt, or I'm still thinking I'm gonna go with some FP greens. Tobes did give me a quote on this block and he said it would be 8 grand to get it built. So 8 grand, it's honestly not that bad. But if I could get rid of these heads, this block, and then just get a complete running motor to swap into this thing, that's kind of the route I'd rather go. Less downtime, it'll be more content for you guys, and it'll get my baby back on the road because that's all I want. I miss this car so bad. Oh, and then, okay, so this is my other option. If you guys go on eBay and you type in R35 block or R35 motor, there are a ton of options for 09 GTR motors with like 70,000 miles on them, but eBay motors kind of sketch me out, and those are like 10 to 15K. And then I came across a listing for a complete long block. I mean, it had basically everything besides turbos on it and bell housing, so it would be such an easy swap. I mean, literally I could get the motor and just throw it in, slap some turbos on, put the bell housing back on, and she's good to go. And that was $17,995. I'll try and put a picture on the screen. And I messaged them and they said they'd take 16 for it. So it's a really low mile motor, and for 16 grand plus turbos, so I'm thinking maybe $22,000, $23,000, I could have this thing back on the road, tuned, full transparency. I run an Amazon business and I'm trying to scale that up to crazy numbers. And to do that, it takes a lot of capital. So I've spent almost every single dime I have on my business, and this thing is kind of taken a back seat, and that's okay. But I've never been more motivated, never been more inspired to get this thing done. I know I can do it. I want to know that I've done it, and I want to have my baby back. This is like a very monumental moment in my life. It's like my business is doing the best it ever has been, but I have to keep dumping money into it. And if I spend 20 grand on this thing, it's like that might inhibit my growth of the business. So it's just this fine line of like, okay, let's do this as cheap as I possibly can. Okay, so that's what I'm kind of thinking. If I get the long block from my friend, trade him all of my stuff, I'm gonna be out of pocket less money. I'll have a good motor. Yeah, it's not gonna be like a low mile, non-abused motor, but I know it's good. And then I can just swap it into this. So I don't know, I'm so torn. I'm like, do I get this built? do I get an eBay motor or do I just keep saving up for the eBay motor? Because to be honest, 16 grand, so much money. And I just, right now, I can't pay that. What do I do? Do I wait? Do I be patient? Or do I get rid of this stuff, get the good long block, and get her back on the road? I don't know. All right, so I'm not sure if you guys are gonna be able to see the actual scoring on where the cams sit. There is a little bit of scoring, unfortunately, so I don't know if that's able to be machined or if because of that, the heads are no good. So I'm waiting to hear back from Tobes. I'll keep you guys posted, but yeah, you can see like they're definitely scored a little bit, but I don't know if that stuff can be machined. And then here's the other head. This one's not as bad, but still a little bit of scoring. So I guess we'll just see what they say. But if my heads are in good condition, and I know for sure the block is good. The block is basically perfect. Then it honestly should be a pretty cheap-ish swap. This is all very stressful. I wish I just had like an infinite money glitch and I could just boom, just drop it on a motor. That'd be sick. I'd love that. I'm being very transparent with you guys. Not a lot of people are transparent, I feel like. I always am gonna pride myself on being honest and open and telling you guys how it is. And I'm not gonna lie, it's probably been 2 weeks since I pulled the motor apart and I'm itching to get back into this thing. And I really wanna start restoring stuff, you know, like pulling everything apart and restoring it and cleaning it and making it nice, but I'm trying to not spend any money until I have a motor secured. I need the heart of this beast and then I can start spending money on other things to make sure that, you know, I have the money to get her back on the road. This is all really stressful, but I feel like I'm not the only one that goes through this. I'm sure there's other people that have blown a GTR motor and have been like, dude, what do I do? I'm just a lot more open and honest than I probably even should be, but I'm always gonna be transparent with you guys about what I'm going through and my financials and my business and the GTR, because once this thing's back and it's on the road and she's making jam, like it'll just make it that much more sweet. I just wanna know at the end of the day, I did this and I made it perfect. I didn't have any handouts and I built my dream car. It's gonna happen. I promise you guys it's gonna happen. So I'll keep you guys posted every single step of the way, but that is the update. I think I'm gonna go ahead, get that long block and or keep saving up for the eBay motor, and we're gonna hope for the best. So if you guys do have opinions, advice, criticism, whatever it is, I'm all ears because I value your guys' opinions. I wanna know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys would do in my situation. Would you try and save up for the good long block that comes with all the accessories and that all I would have to do is literally bolt the bell housing onto the turbos and call it a day? Would you go with that motor for 16 grand off eBay? Would you go with my buddies, even though it's high miles and has been slightly abused? Or would you save up for a built bottom end and just reuse this block? Maybe I'll have to buy new heads. I don't know. That sounds a little more expensive and time consuming, but that is always an option too. So there's 3 different routes I can go right now. If money wasn't an issue, I would 100% buy that long block off of eBay because that to me seems the easiest on me. It seems like the least amount of downtime, but we're gonna figure this out. I figure out everything in my life, my business stuff, my car stuff, and 2024 is gonna be absolutely a beautiful year. I keep promising you guys it's gonna get done. There's no way that I'm not gonna get this thing done before summer. Like no matter what it takes, she will be back and she will be better than ever and she'll be reliable and I will have such a beautiful daily and I can't wait. So I really hope you guys all had a beautiful 2023. I hope 2024 is off to a good start for you. Honestly, I did so much last year and this year I'm hoping for even more. Last year was a bit of a rough year to say the least for me, but I still got so much accomplished. So I have huge goals for myself financially this year, with car stuff this year, for my YouTube channel, and I honestly just can't wait to take you guys along for the ride. So thank you guys for watching this video. I know it was probably a little bit more boring than you guys are used to, but trust me, new motor is coming. So much sick content. Like this year, it's gonna be so crazy. I've already set all my goals. I know what I'm gonna do. And I'm not gonna stop till I get there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, smash the like button, and I will see you guys once we get a motor.